December 14th, 1979. I do not know is the best state of being. I have solved all my riddles except the one of the self. When you look at you as you are, no riddle will remain. Do you have direct knowledge of your birth? No. After your so-called birth, your hunger and thirst started, naturally as well as urination and excretion. It was not your doing. Your knowing contains everything. If there is no knowingness, there is nothing. Your knowledge you are or your consciousness is a storehouse of all visible forms. Your world isn't in it. Your memory you are identifies with the body. But that memory has no form. If you call it Atma or Self, the Self has no form. Have you given a thought to your true identity? I try to remind myself of my true being. If you are not your body and its name, what are you? Let the body be there. Only do not identify with it. I do not know is the best attitude. We cannot point out reality as this or that. We can only say neti, which means not this, not this. When you realize the self, there will be no need to repeat, I am not this body. Then you make use of the body as an instrument. In deep sleep, are you aware of the body? No. Identification with the body arises after waking. When a seeker comes to know that his consciousness is composed of all the 5 elements and the 3 qualities, what can you say about his worthiness? Those whom we call as incarnations, they had the same consciousness as you have now. The world takes birth in your consciousness. There are social reformers in this world who do so much for the people. Yes, they do good work. If we start counting the number of living beings on this earth so far, what will be their number? When did you hear the first word or sentence in your life? How old were you then? How old are you now? 50. Not much. Did you know your parents? 51 years ago. Who gave a thought to our existence only after the beingness appears and not before? Some people assume themselves to be all-powerful. But do we have any definite identity which can do anything without failure? In this world, could anyone do any reforms which lasted indefinitely? In our childhood, we followed our parents and did whatever they told us. Now your guru tells you that you have no name and form and that you are free right at this moment. Why not take it? There are stages of one's evolution. One speaks as one understands. One's talk is correct for that stage in which one is. When one really understands, one knows that one was never born. Then one cannot ask questions about the date and time of one's birth. When there is no birth, how can death arise? Is there knowledge I am in food material? The food juices do not have the knowledge I am. But when the same become the body of a human being, the knowledge I am begins. Thereafter the suffering and the struggle for survival also begins. It is natural for the self-love to struggle to exist. When the sense of being unknowingly appears in a form, the so-called birth takes place. Is suffering avoidable? The happenings or the events flow from the consciousness, and the imaginary somebody or some being which feels its individual existence suffers because of them. The food body has form, but the behavior is formless. The knowledge I am is the quality of sattva, or food essence, and the waking and sleep states accompany it. When the food body becomes old, the sense organs and the organs of action become weak, and they do not function properly. Anybody's sense of being has no form or name, but one assumes the form of the food body as one's own form and accepts the name given to it. The happening of good and bad are concepts, as there is none to whom they can happen. In ignorance, one believes in one's existence and presence. This habit is formed since childhood, and it cannot leave easily. Distant invisible stars are made visible by a telescope. Your consciousness is like the telescope, due to which many things become visible. Observation is the quality of the consciousness and not of the observer. Witnessing of the consciousness happens to the observer. The consciousness contains everything. Witnessing of all that happens to the observer. The talks that are going on now, whose quality is it? It is the quality of the consciousness. From wheat and rice, how many different types of food items can you make? Innumerable. Similarly, there is no end to the happenings in consciousness. What is birth? It is the appearance of I am consciousness. All the qualities are of the consciousness and not of the witness of consciousness. Innumerable people and various other living beings lived in the last 3 ages. What happened to them? How are they now? They died long ago. I know how they are now. All of them are like you, what you were before taking this form. All your riddles will get solved as soon as you know the why and how of your consciousness. You know that your consciousness was not there 100 years ago. Now it is there. The why and how of it you must know. It is your business to know it. Who else will know it and tell you? Now I am talking. To whom am I telling all this? I am talking to men and women. I am talking to the birth principle. The forms have appeared after the so-called birth. You are unable to participate in these talks since you have no knowledge. Who has knowledge here? Is it a joke to convince these foreign visitors? Seekers get confused by hearing different statements at different times. Yesterday he said that, today he is saying something entirely different. Although I am talking to pure consciousness, birth principle, the listeners are men and women, hence the misunderstanding and confusion. The food material is not a living being. If a donkey eats it, the material becomes a donkey. If a monkey eats it, it becomes a monkey. The birth principle is not a product of imagination. But you, man or woman, are. Then how can there be proper understanding? In existence there is nothing smaller or nothing greater than consciousness. All of you experience it as your I am. In the field of consciousness, there are infinite names, but the witness of consciousness has no name. When we talk to others, we use words of our choice, others use words of their choice. If there is disagreement about the words used, there is quarrel and even a fight. Words give rise to harsher words, and the wise one requests all to stop talking, and there is silence and peace. The world functions with the understanding that all bodies and the world are real. In reality, both are false, and that is true understanding. The bodies in the world are made of the same 5 elements. One who sees oneself as apart from the food body is already free. The Absolute is nameless, but in trying to understand we use names like Paramatma or Parabrahman. The people who visit me find it difficult to understand me. It would be an achievement if even a single person out of a group would correctly understand me. What you see, this world, is nothing other than the forms taken by the imagination of the human intellect. The world has been made beautiful by the ideas flowing out in a human form. The concept I am in human form has great powers. but identification with the body has resulted in the tragedy of death. Everything is so real. How is it an illusion? From the absolute standpoint, all is Maya and illusion. What is the power of consciousness? Just as there is fire in this towel, but it is not seen, there are great powers and abilities in this consciousness. How did the sense of being appear from the eternal? Our sense of being is the content of the womb. It is dormant in the womb, and it continues to be so, up to 3 to 5 years after delivery. It is like a raw mango which takes time to become sweet. When your beingness attained maturity, you started recognizing your mother. This being is very ancient and eternal, but was without the sense of being. The sense of being appeared only after the availability of a food body. The condition of our being up to the age of 3 to 5 is the same as that of the eternal. Why has the truth become so difficult to realize? Truth is available to all, but it remains hidden. An ant picks up a sugar crystal covered by sand. You have to take Guru's help to locate truth and realize it. The truth becomes open and free when all the heard and read concepts are blown away. Why is the sage so rare to find? It is said that one who realizes the self hides it. In reality, there is no hiding, as there are no real customers for truth. The sage appears to hide it. A rare one seeks truth. Others are after things of the world. They worship God for material gains. A sage is full of patience to wait for the rare seeker. Sage Jnanaswar has said that the knowledge is imparted as per the capacity of the listener. What is Maya? When we come to know we are, we like it and we want to sustain it. That is Maya. Why is there confusion and chaos in the world? The real waking is to realize the self. That what you call waking is as good as the dream waking. You do not expect anything from your dream world as it is false. But this world is as false as the dream world. You take it as true and expect to be benefited. Until you realize yourself, there will be no order in your world. Why is our waking false? The knowledge you are is the seed of the world that you see. The dream you are gives rise to your dream world, and the waking you are gives rise to this world. As you are itself is an illusion, both the worlds are false. I do not experience the world through books. The world is my direct experience. It is the quality of my I am knowledge. I exist, hence I see my world. The world is made of 5 elements. These elements do not follow any guidelines. They are free to behave as they like. Hence, the world is as it is. I should not have taken birth in such a world. In a moment, billions and billions of births take place. Whose births are they? You give names as per the body forms, but all of them are appearances of consciousness in food bodies of 84 lakh different types of species, from the amoeba to a human being. All these forms vanish, but the consciousness, which is deathless. Why are there so many religions? One likes one's concepts and wants others to follow them. If this succeeds, one gets followers. This leads to creeds and religions. December 15th, 1979. The Eternal is speaking here. The human body, as well as other living forms, are made of the food essence in which the 5 elements are present. The activities happen due to the 3 gunas or qualities. Can you point out even a single body in which the elements are absent? No, that is not possible. Even the incarnations of Ram or Krishna cannot be an exception to this. Every element is measureless and unlimited. To consider a separate existence to every living form or an individual is imaginary. Your world exists when you know you are. In deep sleep, you do not know you are, and there is no world. We are the outcome of the food juices on this earth. Does the earth have knowledge? No. You are the dust to which you ultimately return. People come here to get their problems solved. Perhaps people come here when their problems are nearing their end. Does Maya exist after self-realization? For a sage, it does not matter whether Maya exists or not. A sick man was advised to drink the mixture after rubbing air on space for 3 days. Is there knowledge in anybody's words in this world? People who come here may complain that they did not receive any knowledge but were more confused. The Eternal is speaking here, making use of words. The Eternal is not a part of the transient. Do people suffer as per their belief? If people express their confidence that something evil is going to happen to them, I tell them that it is their destiny, which I cannot change. For me, it is enough to realize that I am not a part of that which comes and goes, which rises and sets. If I am not the body, what are my limits? I tell the seekers not to underestimate themselves. You are so big that one will find it difficult to get a rope long enough to encircle you. In other words, one will take ages to go around you and still be unable to encircle you completely. Better leave this place at the earliest, before you lose all your belief about yourself. That which says anything is always the consciousness, and that what could be talked about is an expression of consciousness. Every moment there are billions and billions of births. Who are born? Human beings, animals, etc. No, all are the births of consciousness in various forms. Just as the embryo remains hidden, the cosmic egg also remains hidden. There are scientists doing great inventions. There are astronauts going into space to study distant planets. When these great men study themselves, what will they find? Nothing. The knowledge of the scientist is material knowledge. Our knowledge we are is also due to food material. So far, these scientists have not succeeded in creating human beings directly from food material. For that, the union of the male and female is required. Are you confident to face any question? When people from all over the world visit me, I have nothing to worry. One who is born will only be visiting. The unborn cannot come. And what is born is very well known to me. I know how the consciousness has appeared and where it is situated. December 16, 1979. Your need to exist made you limited. Things are as they are. One flower is as it is, and the other as it is. What further examination do you need there? First, the consciousness appeared, and then all these scenes. In the scene, different forms appear at different times. Right from an ant to human beings, the activities happen as per the flow of thoughts. The consciousness in every form is time-bound. When the time is over, it disappears. Just as you see grass and new plants coming up during monsoon, there is creation of living beings of various types. The human suffering is due to concepts, which may differ from actual facts. A man is guided and directed by the flow of thoughts from within. Thereby, some unimportant person may become a great historical figure. That is true. Without the inner guidance, we would not have done anything. It is the consciousness that listens to the Guru and not your mind. Give attention to your consciousness. Meditate on it as Guru, as God, as Brahman. The universe and all the 10 directions rise from it. You must realize this truth yourself. Do as you are told, and your spiritual progress and material sustenance will be looked after well. A rare one realizes the truth of this. I am the same as you are. The difference is only in the realization. You are equally eligible to attain it. We have our limitations. You take yourself as an individual, which you are not. I know myself as manifest and boundless. When I am, the creation, sustenance, and the dissolution are also there. But I am that which has no birth and no death. The 5 elements are present in all living forms. To give an example, the air or vital breath is present in all beings. I am that, or that is mine, which is common in all. You can call it Brahman. I am not an individual, but indivisible, present in all. The quality of 5 elements are my own qualities. All these qualities make the nature, Nisarga. All the incarnations happen in nature. All are one with the 5 elements and have an individual form. For you, all the forms of men and women are real. For me, even Prakriti and Purusha are formless. You give different names to various forms, but you agree that without forms, all are one. All forms are time-bound. As compared to the infinite, any time duration is so short, as if zero. Hence, all forms are only glimpses and illusory. They have only momentary appearance. From the standpoint of a sage, a child which is born and the one before conception both belong to the same class. A momentary appearance merges with the eternal disappearance. There are differences in appearance, however, there is unity in disappearance. Even dreams appear and disturb. Are they real? No. I am glad to know from you what God is. No, all this is your information. What are you in reality? My Guru told me what I am, and I tell you the same. Do you agree? Yes. The world that I see is my own expression. All the information I get about this world is my own information. For you, that man and that woman are different. Even a man acting as a woman in a drama does not forget that he is a man. For me, all are myself. All names and forms are my own. Brahman is neither a man nor a woman. It is formless. You notice the form and forget the content, the reality. All the 5 elements are responsible for any form. To consider oneself as a man or as a woman is a kind of sickness. When you hear these talks, you see yourself as infinite and boundless. You cannot be restricted to a small body. Slowly see yourself as wider and wider. You will soon realize that due to sickness of identification with the body, you have become a man or a woman. It is not a question of telling others what you are, but of having the inner conviction about your true nature. A rare one, like Krishna, will see himself as he is and tell others about it. In Gita, he has made it very clear. He sees himself in the world and all is his information. All these names like Shiva, Ram, Krishna are the names of nature, Nisarga, personified. These names depict the behavior of nature. Just as the qualities of each of the 5 elements differ from those of others, in nature we see different qualities. When you cannot change a child, you admit that its qualities are such that they cannot be changed. All the functioning of the universal family is due to Prakriti and Purusha. The Purusha is only a witness. and it is all the work of Prakriti. A true disciple says, when death is unavoidable, why not do as my guru says and see what happens? A great devotee treats God as his friend and says to him, everything belongs to you, and it is going to remain with you alone. Why do you doubt that I will take any of it? I have observed life as it is and take lessons from it. Our existence in any form is most unreliable. Our close relative who is with us today may not be there tomorrow. The only son of parents may lie dead in front of them. This is the nature of existence which we cannot change. We can only change ourselves to get the least affected by these mishaps. The unreliability teaches us to be detached. Nothing should be able to disturb our peace and tranquility. I have made practical use of these uncertainties of life. So far, I have told you the side which is known. The other side, of which you do not have direct knowledge, is the truth. The first is manifest, saguna, and the other is unmanifest, nirguna, devoid of all attributes. The consciousness appears to be unlimited, but it is transitory and untrue. The unmanifest appears to be little, but it is the eternal and hence the truth. My need to exist made me limited. My incompleteness increased in direct proportion to my need. When there was no need to exist, I was unlimited, true, and eternal. That which is not known directly is the truth. That state of mind about which I cannot say anything, that is in perfect order. The manifest is transitory, and the unmanifest nirguna is the eternal, and that is the truth. Spirituality also teaches us how to live in this world. Yes, do not love the transitory. If you desire peace and tranquility, love the eternal if you can. At least love your I am. Make friendship with it. It will never leave you alone. It will give you lifelong company. It is the nearest and the best godly companion. It is the most reliable. December 17th, 1979. All individuals are imaginary. There is no life without the 5 elements. All the so-called individuals owe their existence to the 5 elements. All objects are made of 2 or more of the 5 elements. Only when the elements come together to form sattva, or food essence, there is a sense of being or the atma, self. Although all living forms are time-bound, some forms like that of Markandeya have very long lives. In nature and consciousness, there is no law and order. Man desires order, but has no control over nature. Hence, he assumes law and order in nature. The 5 elements, 3 qualities, Prakriti and Purusha, all these are formless. All forms made of these 10 have imaginary existence. I am getting my taste. I am. It was not there 100 years ago, but now it is there. My first job is to find out the why and how of this taste. In this search for the truth, I found out that my I had no existence. I found out that this I was not individual, but the universal I. The real I was of the entire existence, without any individuality. With this finding, my search ended there. What existed was not I, but Brahman. You feel that your existence is important. Hence everything is important to you. If your existence loses its importance, nothing has any importance to you. You know you are and you want to always exist. You want company of your body indefinitely. But it is a food body which has aging and time limit. How can it remain healthy forever? Every human being appears to be made of two ends. The first is an assumed end, the beginning of I am, and the second is the active end, which works for the sustenance of the first end. Without the first, the second has no meaning. The second depends upon the first and sustains it. The second works as long as the first is. As all individuals are imaginary, it is wrong to criticize the family affairs of anybody. In reality, it is the affair of the whole, the Brahman. The astral body occupies the whole of existence. Although we restrict ourselves to the body, that is not our actual experience. We always experience everything around us in which our body also exists. This applies to the waking as well as to the dream states. That's why it appears as if we are trying to force ourselves to be a body against our actual experience, which is otherwise. It is not an individual who experiences the whole, but it is the whole, the manifest, that experiences the whole. Every being is not separate, but it is always with the group of 10, 5 elements, 3 gunas, prakriti, and purusha. Is it possible to impart knowledge without words? The use of words is to help you to understand. Your ignorance is due to the words that are hearsay. My words are meant to wipe out those words. Some visitors make use of words to argue. Proper understanding leads to fewer and fewer words and more silence. How does meditation on knowledge, I am, help? Apart from your body and the sense of being, what is your capital in this world? Without asking anybody, what is your direct knowledge? You know you are and the world in which your body exists. You have no direct knowledge of God or Brahman. Your I am knowledge comes first, and then the world. Hence, your I am knowledge should get the most importance. You know that this I am knowledge was absent 100 years ago. Now it is there. It is your first duty to find out the why and how of this I am appearance. Other things of lesser importance can be investigated later. Meditation on I am is done to be free of words and thoughts. In this cigarette lighter, the flame is sustained by the burning gas. Similarly, your consciousness is sustained by digestion of the food you eat. We see the body eating, but the beneficiary is the light of consciousness, or the light of knowledge I am. After realization, what happens to the bondage? One sees it as illusory. He sees himself as a great sun illuminating all existence. Until then, one is wrapped up in the concepts of one's own mind. All ignorance and bondage is due to the heard and read knowledge. Be in the state prior to hearing anything. In that state prior to consciousness, there was no unhappiness and hence no need to be happy. Your knowingness is the seed of misery. It gives rise to your world full of unhappiness. December 18th, 1979. Very few doubt the content of scriptures. How was our existence prior to the appearance of our beingness? It was the unmanifest as if it did not exist. Its appearance was like the sudden appearance of a plant during monsoon. If I ask you which way did the plant travel to appear there, for a plant there is no question of coming by any path. It was already there, but unmanifest. It just manifested right there. What about the law of karma? Birth, rebirth, and the law of karma are concepts based upon the ignorance of truth. When all forms are imaginary, whose karma, action, and whose birth, rebirth can it be? If one had a true concrete form, one would suffer in the same form due to one's actions. The law of karma is based on the assumption that all forms are real and a record of all actions is maintained. Although all forms are false, what is true in them are the 5 elements. These elements can be held responsible for the actions and should be punished to the extent that they deserve. How did untruth get established as the truth? In scriptures, there are additions by unauthorized writers. Most of them are ignorant people, whose books would have been ignored in normal course. Hence, these writers indicated the names of Vyasa, etc., as the author, for easy acceptance by people. Also, there are very few who question the content of the scriptures. They are taken for granted as the truth. Even if it is not, it does not matter. For the common man, spirituality comes last in their list of priorities. There are other important matters like supply of food, rising prices, political instability, etc., which need immediate attention. Spirituality can wait until one gets very old. Hence, as years pass, doubtful untruth gets established as the truth. If all forms are unreal, there is no question of any coming and going or birth and rebirth. The world is full of people and the population is ever increasing. Where do they come from? They appear and multiply right there. They are going to disappear right there. All living beings are free to act. There is no force of any kind to reproduce. The multiplication of food bodies happens spontaneously. Sage Tukarama said, "I was in Vaikuntha, the abode of God Vishnu, and I have come from there. If I meet him, I will question him, 'Where were you in Vaikuntha?' We have come to know our existence right here on this earth, and we are going to disappear right here. Where is the question of going to or coming from Vaikuntha or Kailas? Just as we add the prefix late for the departed, Hindus add the prefix of Vaikunthavasi, residing in Vaikuntha, or Kailasvasi, residing in Kailas. The time when you first came to know you are and the place where it was known, these tell you the time and place of your manifestation. There is no question of your coming from anywhere else. The same way you merge with the unmanifest when your I amness is no more. Does a jnani make use of his intellect? You make use of your intellect for your sustenance. For the knower of intellect, sustenance happens spontaneously. Like that of an embryo? Yes, he is truly independent, swatantra, and self-supporting. One whose stress is on I as the doer has a long way to go, but one who stabilizes prior to I attains the self. One has to go back to the state when I am was absent. That state is in perfect order. Everyone comes to know that one is, through the food juices. But ultimately, who is it that knows this? In order to understand, you give him a name, for example, Absolute. It means it is the Absolute which comes to know that it is. Sri Krishna was an expression of the Absolute. During his lifetime he said so many things. Bhagavad Gita is his song. But the Absolute remains free of words and untouched by them. Are other animals affected by concepts? Man accumulates concepts by hearing and reading. In the absence of intellect, other animals don't have that capacity. Did Krishna's devotees, gopis, remember him after his death? During Krishna's lifetime itself, the gopis had lost their individuality and had become one with Krishna. Hence this question doesn't arise. When the news I am goes, what remains is the no news nivruta state. Vaikuntha and Kailas, the abode of Lord Shiva, are very popular concepts, where the meritorious are supposed to land after departure from here. December 19th, 1979. Mind, an indicator, not a dictator. I am in my true state, the Absolute. Although I am not restricted to this body, it will indicate my whereabouts. That will continue to the end of the body. In my eternal state, there is no existence without the news I am. How will you describe our life? It is full of mental modifications and always looking out for entertainment. Just as you know the presence of a dead rat by its smell. Currently you are smelling your own presence. But this smelling is time-bound, and it is going to vanish. 100 years ago, you did not smell your presence. It has started after the so-called birth. What has started has also to stop one day at the so-called death. Prior to smelling your presence, what were your desires and demands? There has been no end to your desires and acquisitions now. How is the mind related to the vital breath? Mind is another name for the vital breath. There is air in the atmosphere, and there is breathing in and out. Due to this, the vital breath functions. This results in the flow of thoughts, which we call as mind. The ignorant functions as per the flow of thoughts. Does a jnani have a mind? It is there, but very feeble and distant. Just as you are not disturbed by some minor events in Russia, no thoughts affect a jnani. Do you ignore mind totally? Its intimation is accepted for matters like going to the toilet, etc. A jnani's mind has no say. It serves only as an indicator and not a dictator. Mind dictates the ignorant. Just now we saw a person who was sitting here quietly suddenly got up and left. Who told him to leave? His mind. Man feels that he is the decider and the doer. He forgets that he, along with all living beings, is part of the 5 elements. What happens amongst the 5 elements finally lands on the earth of which man is a part. Man has to act as per the result of the interaction between all the elements. Does a guru know this interaction? One who knows proper action as well as avoidable action is a guru. If our very being is the quality of the food essence, we cannot expect to have any control over our actions. Our sense of being is like a season, which has a beginning and also an end. Our being is important to us, and we take all precautions and we work regularly for its sustenance. What spiritual practices do you recommend? Try to live separating yourself from the body and its name. If you are not the body and its name, what are you? Although you take yourself as an individual, your I am knowledge is the yoga union of the 5 elements and the 3 qualities. It is a yoga of 8, 5 plus 3, limbs or Ashtanga 8-limb yoga. Why do I find it difficult to remain without any physical or mental activity? Because you want to forget your beingness, which is troublesome. In deep sleep you are comfortable as your beingness is forgotten. How to be free of this trouble? Know your beingness, that is the why and how of it. How to know that? Meditate on your beingness, that is, be without thoughts, and your beingness itself will reveal to you all its secrets. My body formation happened without my knowledge and permission. What can you say about its end? The end may be with your knowledge, but it will again be without your consent. Even God, Ishvara, has an end. What is the importance of Mahat Tattva, or the Supreme Consciousness? Just as all your property is because of your money power, All your existence is due to this Mahatattva or Shuddha, pure Sattva. When the light of Sattva sets, it is all over. The world is the quality of Sattva. Who is Vasudeo? Vas means smell. You know your being. It means you smell your being because of your consciousness. Consciousness is God, Deo. The light or Bhagwan is in the body as long as you smell your being. When consciousness separates from the body, the smelling stops. Nothing dies. What is self-love? What is born is self-love. You want to live at any cost. You love to exist. Self-love is your main capital. Does a jnani have self-love? A jnani is one who knows the origin of self-love. He has no self-love. Ignorance sustains self-love. The ignorant suffer so much due to self-love. All our activities, including yoga, meditation, and penance for self-realization, are due to self-love. Maya is self-love. As long as you love to live, you cannot get rid of Maya. You are not a director, but only a helpless actor of your life show. How to get rid of this ignorance? You cannot remove it by effort. It goes when you know its cause. Why are only a few interested in self-knowledge? The urge must come from within. When people find out that their material achievements cannot give much, their spiritual quest begins. The futility of wealth cannot come to the poor. Hence, Indians have a long way to go to turn to spirituality. A considerable number who come here are interested in their worldly problems. The visitors from Europe and USA are ever increasing. How to get rid of this body identity? You must remember the fact that you are infinite and boundless. By training and habit, you have imagined yourself to be limited to the body. Your imaginary somebody is troubled by problems. In the case of a jnani, there is no somebody to suffer. This continuous talk must be strenuous for Maharaj. This corpse, my body, is burning around the clock. Doctors advise me to stop talking and take medicines. But what do they know? For me, the remedy will be worse than the disease. There is no pain, but only weakness. I have no energy to sit. But as soon as I sit in front of you, I start talking. Our sense of being is so small, but it contains vast space. When Krishna said, "I am everything," he meant his I amness is everything. This is everybody's experience. Even when Krishna was very young, many yogis and Mahatmas visited him seeking his advice and blessings. Incarnations like Ram and Krishna did so much for the world. But did any reforms last for a long time? Could they or anybody else stop the cycles of creation, sustenance, and destruction? Could they control the 5 elements? Some great men declared that they would come again at such and such a place. I will not say that, since all forms are my own forms and all that is seen is my expression. We see dead bodies, then how do you say that there is no death? All bodies are made of the 5 elements and they are alive due to consciousness. When consciousness separates, there is no life in the bodies. The consciousness does not die, but only separates from the bodies. Without consciousness, the bodies were already dead. Then who dies? Consciousness serves as an instrument due to which witnessing happens to the Absolute. Without consciousness, the Absolute cannot witness anything. The Absolute first witnesses the consciousness when it exists and then witnesses its content. If the consciousness is called Brahman, its witness is Parabrahman. How many years are you doing your spiritual practices? For over 12 years. Do you know that this consciousness was not there, say, 100 years ago? Yes. Your beingness is time-bound. It has a beginning and also an end. For the Absolute and also for the consciousness. There is no coming and going. The consciousness appears, and at the end it separates from the body. The witnessing happens to the Absolute, and then it stops when the consciousness separates from the body. What is the use of all my spiritual knowledge? Without knowing the why and how of the transition from the no-knowing state to the knowing state, all knowledge is useless. When your plane landed in India, you knew the arrival time. Similarly, what was your arrival time in this life? It is the date and time of my birth. No, it is the time of your conception. That is the real arrival and not the delivery time. Do you know where did you arrive from? No, it happened without my knowledge. Your state was the same prior to conception, during conception, and about 3 years after the conception. You came to know about your arrival 3 to 5 years after delivery. At conception, your presence was dormant, like the presence of fire in this towel. The child starts knowing its presence after it begins to recognize its mother. Can fire burn this consciousness? No, it can burn only the body. Consciousness separates from the body. Self is indestructible and deathless. Self-knowledge is to know your state prior to conception. What is our true identity? It is that which does not change with time. All our identities have changed with time. Is not our entire knowledge about oneself meaningless? All our memories are photographic. Any past scene in our life, when recalled, appears in front of us in the form of a photograph. Do you take these pictures? They happen automatically. All our activities go on smoothly because of these photographs. You can recognize people in places that you visited earlier. How do we recognize a person by hearing his voice? That also gets recorded. What is the use of chanting Guru Mantra? For overall purification, including that of the 5 pranas, vital breaths. Although vital breath is only one, it is subdivided into 5 pranas, based upon their function. The pure seeker realizes the self. Why are real seekers very few in number? Only a few have the inner urge. It cannot be developed externally. One who receives the divine grace of the self meets one's Satguru. First, there is Atma Krupa, grace of the self. Then Guru Krupa, grace of Guru. And finally, self-realization. Is Atma, self, one or many in different forms? Atma is one, but it expresses as I am in different forms. All the 5 elements come together for this sense of being to appear. For self-realization, one must hug I am by itself, that is to remain without thoughts. That is called meditation. Forgetting the world to hold its soul, that is I am. Everybody appears to have a separate Atma. The same lake supplies water to people of Mumbai. Water is one, but when it fills the tanks in different buildings, everyone says it is his water. How would you describe the truth and untruth in brief? What you cannot know is the truth, and what you can know, but which changes, is the untruth. To be born is to suffer. Can we remain unborn? You cannot stop that which happens without your knowledge. At least God should stop it. All living forms, including those of Ram and Krishna, are the products of Nisarga, nature. God has not created this universe. One living form is the food of another living form. Is it not cruelty? Even we do our best to stop cruelty. Is God so cruel as to do all this? Such a creator should be either an idiot or a demon. There is so much destruction due to natural calamities. If God has created this universe, he would have taken care to control the 5 elements. As there is no creator, the elements are free to act without control. If not God, at least Brahman or Para-Brahman should do something. All these names are given only for better understanding. There are no forms corresponding to these names. The creation of all living forms is like cooking a pancake on a hot plate. Their destinies are as per the quality of the food essence, sattva, at the time of creation. One will become a beggar and another a king, as per the quality. One who cannot be described by words and who is beyond space is a jnani. He has no name and form. The appearance of I taste is birth and its disappearance is death. Where will the taste go after death? This flame of the gas lighter, where will it go when it is extinguished? It will vanish where it appeared from. There is no coming and going. The heaven and hell are the ideas devised by the wise to make people behave properly. How can I be sure that there is a God? Do you have any doubt about your existence? No. You know you are because of your consciousness. I'll tell you that your consciousness is God. To doubt his existence is to doubt your own. Your consciousness contains the whole world. You will come across many who say that Krishna is your soul, but I tell you that I am Krishna's soul. How to know it? You must find out your eternal nature. Then you will know that you, as well as God, do not exist. It has happened in my case. First Ishwara died and then myself. You know whatever God knows and God knows whatever you know. When all my knowledge vanishes, God also becomes blank. Many are getting interested in God. That is because of the uncertainty in life and fear. When you truly understand the qualities of sattva, rajas, and tamas, all your fear will disappear. Your I am is the quality of these 3. They have no death, then how can you die? Not knowing you are cannot be called death. It happens in deep sleep as well. Are you dead? Why am I not this body? This body, which is made of the 5 elements, is a part of the universe. When you are not the 5 elements, how can you be the body? That body contains the news that you exist. You cannot be the news. I am never alone, even in a dream, when I am is everything. Is it possible to be alone without anybody or anything? That is possible only when your I am vanishes. Then there would be no others or no other things. That is a non-dual state. Sometimes we become happy or unhappy due to others. The existence of others depends upon you. 100 years ago, when you were not, all were absent. Even in deep sleep, everything vanishes. All that which depends upon you should not give you happiness or unhappiness. Your existence does not depend upon others. Do you have death? Have I remained without death? Having died, I am alive. I see everybody as myself, pure and complete. But they hold on to their beliefs and suffer. What can I do? How do I look at anybody? I look at one as one was prior to conception. But everyone considers oneself based upon one's concepts. According to that, one suffers. The eternal does not need medicine to exist or to survive. There is happiness or unhappiness only after birth. Birth means the appearance of the three states of waking, sleep, and knowingness, and the behavior is by the three qualities of sattva, rajas, and tamas. Where are you in all these? You imagine yourself to be there and suffer. Happiness or unhappiness is only an imagination of the imaginary. All one's actions serve to provide relief from sorrow. One cries or shouts or abuses others in anger. All these actions help to calm one's mind. Even sickness can be imagined. Many a times people come to me with some physical problems. I tell them there is nothing wrong with you, forget it. Nothing can happen to you. And these people are cured without medicines. It is faith healing. You are confident that you are. On what does this confidence depend? It is very clear from your talks. If you really know it, you become deathless. Let us consider an oil lamp. Sattva is the light, in which the activities happen due to rajas. And the soot on the glass bulb of the lamp is tamas.